Hi, everyone. Welcome back into Prime Time right here on WeBeam TV. I'm one of your hosts, Barbara Marville-Kelly. With me is my partner in crime, Dennis Kelly, Master Dennis
Well,
Kelly.
thank you.
How about that?
How about that?
Do you realize how important this day is?
I certainly do. You haven't let me forget.
This happens to be episode 200.
That's like 200 days.
I know. We've been at this actually going on 8 years, and I'm so excited. It just hit me really good. Well, you know what? October is a very big power month for us with my birthday, and then we also have on October 21st our 21-year anniversary.
How about that?
I know.
We lasted that long.
Isn't that cool? Well, anyway, if you're tuning in for the first time, I should introduce us. I'm Barbara Marville-Kelly. With me is my husband, Dennis Kelly, of 21 years. But we've been together 26 years, so
yeah.
it's really
26 wonderful years.
I know. Now, I was saying that what we're going to do today is to try to pack in as many little sound bites and important little quotes and different things that we've been doing. Actually, well, we've been at this for a few years. It'll be impossible for us to bring even the bullet points, but we're going to do the best we can on how we've been living very healthily, even through the crisis, whether it's your own personal crisis, my accident crisis, and then, of course, what we've all been going through for the last 2 years. And you know what? We're no different than plumbers with leaky pipes. We, too, have had our challenges, but it's how we get through them. Is that right, Champ?
That's right, because everything that goes wrong, there's another side of it that comes to the right part.
Exactly, exactly. And I think with all the skill sets that you have trained yourself by studying many books, doing a lot of researching the researchers, has rubbed off on me to the point where I can almost deliver a seminar or a workshop similar to yours, but not like it.
You could, with no doubt in my mind.
Well, let's go ahead and I don't want to go fast forwarding yet, but let's go into rewind. When we first started here at WeBeam TV, we're now in another brand new studio. Leases are up, and so you move on. We're actually in the Gulfview Square Mall. This is very exciting. I think this is probably the largest studio that we've ever had, and probably the most sets. So it's just a great way for us to share what we want to share with the public and individuals that happen to be growth seekers. So I am going to just have a little conversation with my husband. I do have a copy of his book here, and this one is kind of worn and tattered. You can see, like, right from it's all curled from me going through it. And I use this as kind of like my cheat sheet. I guess when you live a certain way of life, it comes natural, but every now and again, I like to look in here because there's some parts that I forgot. And I think you even forgot, too.
Oh, yeah. It's hard to remember everything.
I know.
But fortunately, we usually remember the most important things.
So if you have been with us, you know that we talk about HeartMath Institute, where we're both licensed and certified through HeartMath Institute, all the way down to the kids level. And that is probably one of our biggest mainstays of our entire program that helps us get through, just about anything. Crisis.
Right.
Death's door. You were on Death's door on April 16th with renal failure, and look at you now. You're like the comeback kid.
You could say that.
I know. I don't even know where to start. Where do we start?
Wherever it tells you to.
So,
Go to your heart.
you want to start from the heart?
That's right. Start
Okay.
with the heart.
Let that tell us what are some of the most important things that you learned, because we both grew up probably, maybe like some of you guys, where no matter what we did, it wasn't good enough, right?
Yeah, that sounds familiar to me.
That little voice in our head, and to this day, can still crop up and say, you're not good enough. You're not good enough. But it's a matter of perception and how we handle those moments, right? So
Right.
where would you say, if somebody was tuning in, we have a lot of viewers that know us, so you probably know where we're going with a lot of things, but we may share some new things today, as of late, in the last year and a half, that I'm going to let you go. What if you were to give one of your top tips, start from the top, what would it be?
Well, the first thing I do, I tell them is look up Heart Math Institute, buy their books, their tapes, because it works miracles.
It does.
they have discovered 40, 50 years ago that inside the heart is a brain, same type of brain as in the head. And that brain communicates with the head, and then we have the same thing happening with the gut, the Dantean, as they say in the martial arts. So those three brains contact each other constantly. So the study of that type of thinking, with also being able to study the actual cell. Every cell has a lot of, how would I say it, a lot of secrets that they hide inside those cells. And the reason I say secrets is most people don't know how a cell is composed. What are the principles of a cell? Once you understand a cell, you can do your exercises are better. Everything in life is a little bit easier, because then you are communicating with the finite sign of, it could be a good day or a bad day, but you can read the day, and if it's a bad day, you can change it.
You can, in a matter of moments.
That's right. And within 2 minutes, you can get rid of that bad thought and replace it with a good thought.
And that is really key. I'm glad that we're kind of starting the show off that way, because when we talk about that, I know, I was talking to someone on the phone this morning, and he was kind of like going down the bunny hole, and he wasn't right with it. And I said, you can change that right here and now. Get out of your own way, take a few deep breaths, and get that oxygen to your cells, and it will change it. And that's where we've studied so much with Heart Math Institute, and we recommend that you get with them as well, because there is so much information that validates what we share here on WeBeam TV. And goodness knows the world needs this now. We all need to know how to reduce our stress. This whole world is still upside down, trying to get right side up in more ways than one, and you know exactly what I'm talking about without me going down the bunny hole. But it's a matter of how we live our lives on a regular basis, how we lead by example, how we walk the talk and talk the walk, just right from the minute we get up in the morning. We can get up in the morning and decide whether or not we're going to have a good day or a bad day. Are we going to go down the depressed bunny hole, or are we going to go into gratitude as soon as our feet hit the floor? Next, your turn.
Well, when you eliminate stress, there's nothing but good hormones going to the body. For example, if you were to analyze that, say you're a couple, watching a couple. They're walking in the park. All of a sudden it starts pouring rain. If they were in a bad mood at the time that happened, they would run and yell and scream and, give it that number. In other words, a negative output would come from that individual. If they were in love and they were thinking positive, they both would laugh that they were walking in the rain. How romantic.
If it was you and I, we'd be dancing in the rain.
Yeah, and if you go to an old neighborhood, say 15, 20 years ago, to an old neighborhood, and you go there and you're negative when you go there, all the negative things that happen in that house have a way of getting to you. But if at that time you go and visit that neighborhood and you're in a good mood, then all the wonderful thoughts or the wonderful things that happen in that home would be a lot easier to tap into.
Isn't that Isn't that fascinating?
It's so easy
Yeah.
to know, but it's hard to do. But once you learn to control your attitude, once you learn to control your mood, once you learn how to, when you're negative, how to get out of that within 2 minutes, by learning these processes, you become a very, very wealthy, as far as knowledge and as far as effectiveness, human being.
And let's talk about that. You said a word, wealthy. What does wealth mean to you? Think about that. We know what it means to us, and it's not about how much money we have in the bank, although that's nice if it's a nice amount. But what if you did have all the money in the world that you need, all the food you can eat, you have no worries financially, all your bills are always paid on time, in advance, or whatever, you're driving a decent car, you've got a wonderful home, but maybe you're not happy. Maybe you have some void in your life. And I know that's a very powerful question. We feel that wealth is our health. Because if you don't have your health, you have absolutely nothing compared to the person that has all that. Well, and we don't need to share the story about your friend who took his life many years ago, and he had everything, but bless his heart, he wasn't taking care of himself.
Yeah, and he was burning the candle on both ends. Some of his
Exactly.
habits weren't conducive to good mental health.
And, yeah.
He was a millionaire many times over. I remember we were partners, he and I, as you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then he moved to Florida, so we had a chance to visit him. And you could see this wonderful man that was like John Wayne, big guy, strong, healthy, when we were working together. And then he made money his God. And eventually he took his life.
Yeah.
And that was a wake-up call, not a wake-up call for me, but that really, how would I say it, reinforced the fact that I need to know more about handling stress because the people around me are dying.
And they don't know how. And I remember how he admired you when we went to visit him, and how he admired you for really making health your number one priority, and it's true. So, and that's why in this show, episode number 200, we're really focusing in on the key factors that will make a difference in your life. We will guarantee that. And I don't make many guarantees or many promises, but if you take care of yourself, yourself will take care of you. We know that because what you went through just this past April, and when emergency room called me and said you were in renal failure, I thought that was the end. And in 6 days, you were out of it, and you're here. And you've had some other challenges just through lifestyle or whatever, but as for the most part, because you've taken really good care of yourself. And I, too, when I went down and tore my meniscus on the dance floor or whatever, I healed that myself. I had no surgery or anything. And researching the researchers, when you hear us say that, it's because we go to the professionals and we really do that research. So we know if we're saying something, it's backed by science, it's backed by proof, it's backed by clinical studies. That's where all of our training has been.
Yeah, many people give up their health to gain their wealth. They work, they toil, they slave, only to have to give up their health to gain their wealth, and all they get is an early grave.
I love it when you say that because there's a lot of truth to it. In fact, that's how we met, basically. If it wasn't for my husband. And this book right here, which I am in, I was the sort of guinea pig that you used me for, and I was okay with that because I got more than I bargained for. But that's really where I was at because I was working the overnights at the Home Shopping Network, loved my job, and the job loved me. But working against my circadian rhythms, I'm fortunate that I was able to get off that early morning shift and be able to start sleeping through the night again. But you taught me so much way back then, and it still sticks to me today. The 2-minute rule. Let's talk about the 2-minute rule. How many of us, I've been guilty of this, okay, but not so much since I've learned the 2-minute rule. Because we all will sit and ruminate or gunny sack over things that bother us, something someone said to us, something someone did to us, right?
Right.
So
absolutely.
this is a very, in fact, I've got some, Helena Tinkerbella, if you're out there, she does it now to me. She goes, "You've gone past 2 minutes." So it's really, really funny. Let's talk about that real quickly, because we've got so much to cover in less than an hour. The 2-minute rule. You got 2 minutes to what?
You got 2 minutes. We'll start off with, it takes, I'm trying to think of an easier way to say it so everybody would...
Oh, about the 5 minutes of an angry thought,
Yeah,
what it does to the
I got it
system?
now.
Yeah.
That 5 minutes of an angry thought, what it will do is it'll last all day long. The bad chemicals will go in the body from 6 to 8 hours, just for 5 minutes of a bad thought, dwelling on a bad thought. And the problem there is people don't realize that. It's like acid dripping in the system, in the body. They don't realize that they're doing more harm than good, no matter what they were yelling or getting upset about. It's not worth it. So what happens is you got 2 minutes to replace it with a positive, wonderful, beautiful, loving thought. Something that happened to you years ago. Something that, when you think about it, it really makes you feel good. See, everything is a frequency. Everything is moving. Every cell in this table is moving. The atoms in that cell are moving. So movement is important. It is positive moving or negative moving. It depends upon, what the situation is. So you got 2 minutes to replace it. You can't change it. Like if there was a hawk on a fence post, I can't change it into a dove, but I can replace it with a dove. And you get used to doing that. Practice it and try not to do it on too difficult things. Do it with little simple mundane things till you form a habit. So when something happens, you get upset. Say, I don't want those bad hormones going in my body, bad chemicals, because it will shorten my lifespan. I love life too much. So when you do that, then you pick something like, maybe it was a trip to Hawaii. When you got off the ship, you saw the people with the leis on their neck and the music playing. And what happens when you go back into the past, the body produces, and Deepak Chopra speaks of this, the body chooses to send hormones into you that no longer you produce as a human being.
See, when I heard that just blew my mind.
The hormones that go in the body are hormones that were, as we grew older, I should say, then these hormones would deteriorate the body, so to speak, if we didn't do something about it. So if you go back in time and get good hormones, the body then sends human growth hormone into the body, good hormones, and serotonin, oxytocin. These are all the love hormones in fitness, feel-good fitness hormones. So when this happens, you got 2 minutes to get into one of those thoughts. And eventually you'll do it without even thinking about it.
Exactly.
When I get in the negative for several years, I would say, no, what do I need to do? Do step by step. You got what called 1 minute management. And believe me, it pays off in dividends. Like, for example, 10 years ago, I was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. Now, if I hadn't done what I did all these years and fortified my immune system, so as a result, it hasn't really changed my life at all, hardly. I tremble a little bit here, have some setbacks. Once when I call them setbacks, for a few minutes when I'm doing a seminar, I might freeze for about 5 or 6 seconds. But none of that is life-threatening. And the reason I give into that thought is because it helped my body tremendously and mind win awards and be successful in being able to help make people happier, being able to explain to them what they can do to be successful health-wise. So I just want to just re-emphasize the importance of, if you're thinking is sticking,
If you're thinking it's stinking, so are the results, right?
Right,
Yeah.
right. If you're thinking it's stinking and you go over the results.
Yeah.
And if the results aren't bad, then what you do is change your thinking.
And we do that. And believe me, there's so many different thoughts and concepts that go through our brain and through our being. And I'm constantly finding myself where I have to adjust that. And we're going to get to the one thing that I did post in our little write-up for our show today being its episode, did I say this already? It's episode 200. Right here with WeBeam TV, and we hope to do another 200 and another 200. Right? God willing.
Right, absolutely.
But the one thing that I think is important for everybody to really understand and grasp is the importance of the hormones in our system and our emotions. And I've got my if you ask my grandson, our grandson, JD, what's your superpower? Because, you know, he's into superpowers, just like his dad still is at age 50, right? And I say, what's your superpower? He says, love. Love. You would think a kid at age 6 or 7 would say something like, oh, something really, you know, a wild cat or something like that, or a big, fast, powerful race car. Nope, it's love. Because, first of all, you can't have two opposing emotions at the same time, like love and fear. It just doesn't work. It's like two billy goats butting heads together, right? So when we come from love, and I've learned this so much from living love and feeling love, that it's easy to do because love is easy. It really is. It's easy. And I was listening to Dr. Charles Stanley. This is another one of my secrets. Do you listen to Joy FM? It's a Christian broadcast station, and Dr. Charles Stanley is on at 5:30 every morning. I know you hear me because I have the Christian music playing, and let me tell you, it's hip. I'm out there dancing at 5:30 in the morning to it. Dr. Charles Stanley came on, and this week, starting today, is all about love. It's all about the power of love that it has that affects our lives in so many ways, and the love of Jesus. It's the love of Jesus and loving other people and coming from love in everything you do, and that's what HeartMath taught you, showed you how scientifically the emotions that come from love is so much more peaceful. Do you think we might need a little bit more of that in the world today? I mean, I'm just saying, and if everybody can do our part, we can't go out and have a love war, but we can do it individually, and that's what we do here. You were hooked up to a machine at HeartMath that showed your emotional vibrations and all of that, right?
Right.
And it also showed how you were explaining earlier that there is a brain in the heart like the brain in the head, but the brain in the heart is what knows first when it comes to making decisions. And that's another thing, is making choices. It's really difficult, especially when people are trying to reset their livelihood, trying to figure out what they're going to do. And believe me, in our area, there are a lot of businesses that are thriving and surviving, because I interview those people with My Chamber TV, and it's amazing. So there is hope. It's not hopeless out there. We don't have to live in hopelessness or fear, right?
Right. Well, negative people find opportunities as a deterrent. In other words, they find that opportunities, they think negative, where if they would think positive, they would have many, many more opportunities, but they'd be good opportunities. And it's important to assess your thoughts daily. Am I thinking negative? Am I thinking positive? But not every minute. What you want to do is every hour, we call it a check. And at the end of the hour, ask yourself, how do I feel right now? And if yourself says, well, and I'm talking about emotionally, and yourself says, well, not too good, all right? And that has its effect on the body after a while. When you ask somebody that is an optimist, how do you feel? The optimist will find a way of making a negative thing positive.
That's right. And you can. We do it whenever we need to, because you know how, by going to the heart. There is two things that I wanted you to talk about, because this is great for anybody that is thinking of going into a new business or maybe reinventing yourself. And there are so many things to do. I know a lot of people are coming down here to Florida, and I see it all the time. I don't know where we're going to put everybody, to tell you the truth, because of the housing industry being so slow right now. But come on down. We'll find a place for you. But you've said two things over the years: the Q plus Q, right? And then the importance of your service. Okay, so whatever one you want to go first, why don't you start with the Q plus Q? Write this down, guys and gals, because this is real important, and this is one thing that we apply in our lives.
Everything is a formula in life. Right? This formula has helped me be very successful in a lot of business ventures I went into. It helped me get to 6 world titles in martial arts. It helped me a lot of different ways. It is simple. That's one of those Parkinson's freezes. The simple little graph or quote is so important if you follow it verbatim every day for the rest of your life. The Q plus Q times S equals success. The quality of your service to the quantity of your service. In other words, how you attach yourself to your job and everything, the quality that you put into it, plus the amount, the quality, the quantity, times the spirit and harmony in which that service is rendered will be your success. The key is the times factor. The times factor makes the whole thing that you're going to be doing very, very strong, and adds impetus to it as far as power. And every single cell, every single tissue in the body is emanating positive thinking when you're doing that. So the quality of your service plus the quantity of your service times spirit and harmony, in other words, the amount of service that you give will have a lot to do with the amount of successful you are. The quantity and quality times S equals success. I repeated that several times so that you don't forget it. You follow that form. You can use it anywhere. You can use it in learning something new. You can use it in your home life, your sport world, if you're an athlete. It doesn't matter. It's the same formula for anybody. Anybody can do it. You don't have to have a high school education to do that. Q plus Q times S equals success. That's as simple as it gets.
And I like the simplicity of that, and if you really sit and focus on that, it does work. Because if you talk about the quality, what kind of quality are you going to give in your service, whatever that may be? You want to have a high standard of excellence and do the very best you can. And then, of course, you add the quantity and make sure you're doing that to the quantity to where you're balancing and pacing yourself, right? So you're not adding any stress. The one thing that will reduce the stress is times S, which is the spirit and the harmony, is so critical. Whether you're in a relationship, whether it's at home with your family, whether you're in business or starting a business, or maybe you're getting ready to retire and you're going to pass this on down to the family. That is what works, and then it's just going to equal success. You know, I take, for example, WeBeam TV here with John Gaston and his crew, and when he called me up one day and said, "Hey, I got something really perfect for you," I go, "Okay, well, I wonder what that would be." Well, guess what? I didn't even hesitate. I said yes. Why? Because I knew the quality of his work, and I knew the quantity. He will bend over backwards for people and has done so in every town in this whole Tampa Bay community. And why? Because he loves people, he cares people, and he is a perfectionist. I can't even tell you what a perfectionist he is. That's why we all look so good. That's why we all sound so good, right? He is down to the nth degree when it comes to timing. And are there mistakes behind the camera? Well, I don't know, maybe. But we don't know it. You don't know it. That is the perfect example. Quality plus the quantity. He puts in hours and hours and hours, and sometimes I wonder if he ever sleeps. But he paces himself. He's good with that. He leads by example. And then you add the spirit and harmony. There's balance in here. Do we have our moments? I mean, I don't know if there's anything crazier than the television industry with what goes on in live TV. This is a live show. And then, of course, it equals success. And I like to give that because we're still in TV after all these years.
I'd like to add something to that. You know, when I was taking ballroom dance lessons to become a ballroom dance instructor, my instructors saw the woman owned the studio and was training me. She knew that I needed to smooth the rough edges. I was just a kid of 19.
You're a little rough around the edges, were you?
I was rough around the edges. I walked in with a leather jacket, motorcycle boots, you know.
You did not.
Because the girl I was dating, she broke up with me because it wouldn't dance.
Oh, I remember that story.
So I went to a dance studio. When my mother tried to teach me how to dance, she said, "You have no rhythm whatsoever. You'll never learn how to dance." So I went to this school and I said, "I want to be able to dance." I said, "Can you teach me to dance?" She said, "If you walk through the door, I can teach you how to dance." So the key thing is, she said, "But what I'm going to have from you is a promise. I want you to read a book every 2 weeks. I want you to read another book. Keep reading books, because readers are leaders, and leaders need to be a reader." So I had no choice. I didn't have a good education at the time, and I was desperate to make money, and I didn't like working in construction, so this was a great opportunity for me. So I read the books, and now if you go in our house, every single room, every single shelf has books on it. I have enough books there to run a library. So what the books, every time you read a book, that's a book on positive thinking, on how to overcome this, overcome that, and the Q plus Q times S was one of the books I read. It came, everything I know, I'm self-taught. And yet I've made more money in the past when I was doing different ventures than my uncle, who was a professor in a college, making $60,000 a year. Back then, that was a lot of money.
Sure.
So I was making more money than he was.
Sure.
So it's not so much the making of the money as what you do to make the money.
Mm-hmm.
That's what counts. It's becoming what you are teaching rather than teaching what you're becoming.
Well, you know, the other thing, too, is what we're doing is we're fulfilling our passion. And I really do believe that God just dropped my husband in my lap. I couldn't have sent a mail order from myself direct to God, because we have so much in common, and we love doing what we do in helping others. And timing is everything. We've talked about that several times, on how timing is everything, and I can't think of a better timing than right now for us to really stress our programs. We're going to be doing some complimentary workshops. We're going to be doing some things here on the set. We're going to be teaching you a little bit more to help you get through your day, and it's because of what we've learned over the years. And do we have all the answers? We have a lot. We know a lot about a lot, but we still don't know everything.
Well, we become an eclectic of the eclectics. Because I didn't have enough time. It took me 400 years to learn all this stuff that I did conventionally. So I'd find the people that knew what they were talking about and proving it. So I selected these to be my mentor. And as a result, it paid off in rich dividends.
It really,
beyond my imagination.
It really has. And what your dance teacher taught you about reading,
yes,
and becoming a leader as a
right,
reader, you still do that. I don't know if you realize how much you do, but he does. He still reads daily. He always has a book in his hand.
Every month.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then I not only read another new book, I actually go back and review the books I read. I have highlighters all over the place.
I know.
And I try to memorize these things so that when I get into a situation, and I was preparing for this unfortunate event, Parkinson's, and if it wasn't for me doing all those other things, I would never be able to do what I do because of the Parkinson's. But I didn't let that stop me. I actually looked at that as an opportunity to have a platform when I do my seminar. If I can do this under my conditions at my age, then you can do anything. So it gives me something to prove that the system works. And I think I'm proof of that system, because when you have this type of, as people call it, a setback, disease, even tying the shoes becomes an effort. Putting on a shirt over the head becomes an effort. Everything becomes an effort. But it's like anything else. If you use your God-given talents, that effort isn't even noticeable. The other things that are good override that. It's an overriding of the system.
Well, you know, we like to call ourselves lifetime influencers because we've been around the block a few times, right, Hon?
Right.
And we've kind of learned through trial and error, like many of you have as well, and we're still learning. We're still looking for, you know, staying on that cutting edge on how healthy we can keep ourselves, how we can overcome the damaging and ravaging effects of stress, because that's where it all stems from. from stress. And once you're able to get a handle of stress, no matter where it's coming from, whether it's from a failing relationship, whether it's coming from financial crisis or what, we've been there, done it all. We've had it all. We have. Even as certified life coaches, it doesn't matter. Everybody goes through stuff. And that's why we're here using our show as a platform to help you guys. And my husband's coming back, really doing so well that he is going to be starting to teach again in the community. He has a challenge with his shoulder, but I'm trying to convince him that he has myself and another master trainer to get out there into the community and even do just a few moves and help people know that when they get into this relaxation of the Tai Chi and Qigong, that along with doing the heart math exercises, it's just a perfect combination. We're also getting back to certifying instructors now that things have opened up. So if you're thinking of making a career change, maybe you're thinking of getting into something like your system trineurogenics, using the mind, body, spirit as a map for mapping a new path, a new journey in your life. How many people we've talked to, I'm sure you have, maybe you are one of them, after being under lockdown, did you ever think we were ever going to have that in our life? But guess what? Here we are. Things don't stay the same way forever, and it's up to us to make the right choices for ourselves. We do a lot of prayer and meditation. Those are key, at the top of our list. I know we're getting down to about 20 minutes or so we're going to try to get as much in this last few minutes, and we're going to continue to do this from time to time as we continue on Mondays from 2 to 3. And it's our prime time where we're pouring our guts out and pouring our heart out to you. And we're on Facebook, if you can get a hold of us there, if you want to find out more about what we're doing in the community. We may even do a Tai Chi class here in the studio. One never knows. You may even do a workshop. We'll bring in your workshop boards and the easel, and you'll really get some education. But that would probably be over 6 weeks' time or something like that, an hour at a time. But you will learn. You will really learn. So what are some of the other things? We've talked about Q plus Q, and while we're talking about possibly making career changes and things like that, what was it that you reminded me of just earlier today about your service and the importance of your service or occupation or what it is that you do?
Well, to really decide how much money you're going to make or what type of living you're going to make, the secret of that is basically in the need for what you're doing, your ability to do it, and the difficulty in replacing you. So if you want to know what you need to do to get your life to really be a positive life and prosperous life, the need for what you do, analyze that, your ability to do it, and get it so you can do it in your sleep, whatever it is. If you were to take and ask somebody that has been through it, like myself, other than me, and do your own research, the important factor is that the need comes from looking for opportunities. Mm-hmm. And it only takes 3 to 5 years to master something, because we've got all the books and videos and things to help you. Every time you read a book, you bring a new master into your life. So it's a lot easier when you can really come to it if you just use all those success tips. And right now, with the virus that's done what it's done and is complicating everything in the lives of many people, there is opportunities that lie in there to help people survive these things mentally, physically, and emotionally. You be one of those providers, or nothing else, do it so you provide it for yourself, because the best gift you can give your family is to be a good person. And the best gift you can give family is share it with them.
And lead
Don't
by example.
beat over the head with it.
Lead by example. Absolutely.
That's
lead
it.
by example.
Lead by example.
Because
that's where I looked out. Thank you for coming to my rescue.
They will follow you. Just when you think, oh, your kids aren't listening to you, and then when they get to be a certain age, they will spewing it back to you. They will give it right back to you on what they learned from you, just when you think they're not paying attention.
Right.
Same with my little 7-year-old grandson. When I am teaching him about the Heart Smarts Kids Adventures, he gave it right back to me when he could clearly see I was frustrated with the digital age when I was homeschooling him. And he said, Mimi, you might want to just manage your emotions about this. Everything will be okay. Go listen to some relaxation music or get away from your work for a while. Well, he was my work with trying to get into the school system, right? But it's a beautiful thing when you know that you've taught somebody something without sounding like you're lecturing, but make it make sense to them, especially when it comes to a kid, you know? They want to see how it makes sense to them. Adults too. I want to see how. Convince me. Show me that it makes sense. And that's what you did when you went into the mountains of Heart Math Institute, became certified, and then I became licensed in 2020 on the Heart Smart Kids Adventures. I think maybe we'll do some of that here on the show because you can get kind of like a first-hand experience, and you'll experience it right on the spot. You definitely will. But I like where we're going with the show today. We'll have to go back and watch it and see what we missed out. And what else can you share? We're down to 16 minutes only.
Boy, time goes by fast.
I know. Okay, so what else? Can you think of some more? I mean, there's like, I have a whole book here. Book here. And we haven't even looked at it, so this is all unscripted.
The thing that you need to realize if you're trying to be successful in whatever it is that you're doing is that you have to do it with a passion. If there isn't any passion, you'll never make it a success. If you go in business and you don't have a passion for that business, you need to get out of it as soon as possible and get something you do have a passion with. Because passion is the key. That moves mountains. And the big wow factor here is that when you focus on a idea, the thing that I tell all my subjects that I teach or work with is thoughts are things. The three most important words in English language. Thoughts are things. So when you think about, you bring about. What happens is Dennis Waitley wrote about this in one of his books. Dennis Waitley is very respected entrepreneur that he has written many books, works with Olympic athletes, very well respected. And he did a lot of research on this. He says that when you get excited and start focusing every day for the rest of your life on the thoughts that you want to take place, on the thoughts that you want something from your goals, what happens is after a period of time, 18 to 25 or 30 brain cells start vibrating at abnormal rates. They start processing information that you're sending through your passion. Then eventually what happens is the big wow factor is those thoughts start germinating themselves into a powerful force that can, for example, if you take and learn how to take from the ancient mindsets, you can build an empire with a single thought. Thoughts are things. It all starts with a thoughts are things. It gravitates from there. So the next time you're thinking, think about this. All you're doing is you're attracting stinking things. If your thoughts are good, like in the Q plus Q, then you're attracting beautiful things. As Barbara was talking about love, it's such a powerful thing. It's the strongest force in the universe. The universe vibrates at 7 hertz, and the heart vibrates at 7 hertz, in case you didn't know that. So the universe is vibrating for the heart's vibrating for the universe. I know these things seem a little bit complex, being a little quantum physics, but they're not. They're easy to do, I should say, easy to do if you do it with a passion. If you don't do it with a passion, it'll never work. Never in 1,000 years.
You know, I love when we talk about love because it's such a feel-good feeling, and it just it changes your whole frequency when you think about love. Think about how you feel when you look at your firstborn, your newborn baby, your grandson or your granddaughter, that little puppy, and there's just nothing like love. And I think love is the best gift that we can give others, and it doesn't cost anything but to feel and to give back. And you know, you just don't know what other people are going through behind the closed doors, and even just to smile at them, a stranger, can make their day. And I think it's up to us to do that more than ever today, don't you?
Absolutely. Well, you know, bringing up love and things like that. I'm trying to remember what I was going to say to that. Okay, there are over 100 different languages on this planet. 100 different languages. I never knew that until I really started educating myself on the success. And all it takes to equal that is one smile. One smile speaks 100 languages. So smile a lot. Love everybody, love everything, love yourself above all, and put that love to use. It's very hard to love people when they yell at you or scream at you, but they're doing the best they can with what they have. They're doing the best they can, and you just, at that point, the law of allowing comes into effect. Allow other people to do what they want to do, even though they don't want you to do what they want you to do. So that's very important to realize, that let people do their thing. Don't try to interfere. Don't try to improve anybody. Just improve yourself. Self-care, I call it, to the self.
Well, and there is so much truth to that as well. And I didn't appreciate that as much until I found myself adding a few years to my life and having accidents and different things like that. And even when I was at the Home Shopping Network, I had to rediscover what it was like to work at 3 o'clock in the morning, which was when my time slot was. And we build that time slot with so many viewers and really great shows that I ended up staying there for 12 out of 15 years. So I had to readjust and refocus on how can I make this work. Through the grace of God, through an understanding husband and family, it worked. And now we're doing this and sharing all that we had to go through to try to maybe save you from reading thousands of books that you've done and putting the program together. And you're going to hear more and more about that because my husband's getting ready to get his next couple of books out, Master the Champion Within, because you're all a champion. We were all born champions. He also has his missing manuscript papers on the Master Warrior Athlete. Everything he researched to the point where the papers that we found were all yellowed out and with the little chicken scratch on there, little comments, the cross-outs. We're going to actually have that printed, we've decided, just like that. And then he's going to be adding a little bit more to it. So even though you may not be an athlete, you can follow the principles in this. And whether you're a stay-at-home mom or a stay-at-home dad, it doesn't matter what you're doing. But these will work. So we're getting on that and having this time at home. It's really helped us focus on pulling the stops and bringing out what we've been trying to do ever since we've been together for 25 years. But I think the Lord was testing us to see how much do these two really love each other. How much are they going to really walk their talk and talk their walk, right? So it's daily work. And we do that and try to help others do the same thing, including our kids. They're finally starting to come around to hear what we had to say way back then.
Yeah, it took a little bit of time. Kids are hard because they're all right now think they're smarter than we are.
Well, you know what I think it is? I just drew this assessment on my own, is when kids are kids, the little kids, we're telling them, don't do this, don't do that, you can't do this, you can't do that. So when they become an adult, they just want to make their own decisions, and that's great. Hopefully we've taught them to make the right decisions. And here's the key as we get ready to wind down this hour, the 200th episode, I must say again. Episode 200, how exciting. But what I want to say is that making a decision is one of the hardest things to do when you're faced with this or you're faced with this. And honestly, if you live a heart-empowered life, you'll learn how to go to your heart, do that heart lock-in or freeze-framing, the 60-second stress management. You will bring yourself into a frequency level where you will be able to make not just a level-headed decision, but you'll make a heart decision. When those decisions come from the heart, you will never be wrong. I don't care what it is, whether it's to get married, whether it's not to get married, whether it's to go back to school, whether it's to change jobs. It does not matter. If you live a heart-centered life, it will come very easily after a little practice. I didn't get it at first. I thought I was making a heart decision, but it was up here. And it always came back to bite me you know where. If it was a head decision and not a heart decision, and it's still that way, right?
Right.
And we just try to learn to master it. And when you do, you'll see that your life will never, ever, ever be the same.
Reach a state of what we call imperturbability.
I haven't heard that in a while.
That's where nobody can shake your tree, where you become impenetrable. And that is possible. That's doing. And once in a while you'll sort of go to the side of the road with it. But if you keep the middle of the road, when you get a little bit two-sided or one-sided with, say, your attitude or whatever, or lack of knowledge where you stop reading, the key thing is go back to what you were doing that made you successful.
That's
There
right.
are 4 laws. Law of attraction is law number 1. Law of attraction is everything that we think we attract. What you think about, you bring about. That's law number 1. Law number 2 is Law number 2 is our
Disused atrophy.
no, that's law number 4. Law number 2, I'm going back to my dictionary now. Law number 2 is let's go to law number 3, law of allowing.
That's the biggest law
That's the one,
ever.
And law number 4 is law of disuse atrophy. In other words, what you don't use, you lose. Law number 2, going back to that, is where you're aware of law number 1, that everything you think about, you bring about. So by being aware, you have to learn law number 1 to be able to do law number 2. Law number 2 is what you can do to change what is going on in your life that's not any good, because you have that ability to do that now that you understand law number 1.
I love that. Like, I forget where, was it the Hicks that did that?
Yes.
Esther and Jerry Hicks, yeah. They're really good people too. Well, he's passed along, but their philosophies and their concepts and principles really are very applicable to the law of creation, and there is such a thing as the law of attraction. And the law of creation is really up to us and what's going on upstairs there. A lot of prayer for us. That keeps us going, a lot of meditation, and just really grounding and spending time with one another and enjoying each other and not running here and running there and having to go out to every restaurant on earth or going to every entertainment center and all this, this and that. We had so much fun yesterday watching the Packers win. Go Packers, didn't we?
I'm a Packer fan.
And it really, I think the adrenaline was what really made me a little bit tired this morning because I was trying to recover from that. Then the night before, we watched an amazing Karate Kid movie. Who was in that? Who played the master in that again?
Jackie Chan.
Jackie Chan. Oh, it was an amazing movie, and you can watch it on Netflix. Every now and again, we'll binge, and that we don't have to go to the movie theater.
There's a lot of laws that they cover in that movie.
Yes, they
subtly.
do. They do.
Subtly. Yeah, it's a good family movie. It shows a good ending.
Yes, it does. But don't tell. The one thing I got from that was when the master said he was trying to teach some philosophy to the kid was about 12 years old, maybe 12 or 13.
I would say that's about how old.
Yeah, and he said, when you see with the eyes, you do not see the truth. That was powerful because you've got to see from the heart. Because you can see anything with your eyes, but what are we really seeing? But that was really powerful for us.
Yeah, when the really sadness is when you see and you don't look.
Yes, that's another good one.
That has its repercussions. So every time you see, you're seeing with your heart, not just with your mouth and eyes.
I love philosophy, and I love it when we come up with some of our own little things too, and we have many. One of the things that I used to say when I was offering this service in sales for products and demonstrating products and trying to make your life a little bit simpler with a new vacuum cleaner by demonstrating it, or a computer, or whatever it was, dolls, makeup, skincare, you name it. And one of my power phrases that I really believed in my own heart was, there's no time like the present time to make a decision. If you want these new pair of shoes, There's no time like the present time, because how many of you know that if you don't get that pair of shoes now and you go back to get them, they're going to be gone, okay? So that was a little phrase that I did, and it worked out well because it also is applicable in life. My friend Cher Kistler and I, you know, one of our amazing women, we had a little conversation. We catch up with each other every now and again, especially with all this craziness going on. And we're going to talk about this next week on Women Unscripted, so mark your calendar. And what it is we all want to, we're on a mission, and we want to do something, and maybe we haven't done it yet. And Cher said this to me, and I've been using this quote: if not now, then when? If not us, then who? There is so much truth to that, because my husband and I have been together for 25 years, and actually for most of that time, while I was doing my stint at Home Shopping Network, you were teaching Tai Chi, Qigong, certifying instructors. We're back to doing that again. We invite you to join us. If you'd like to find out more about us, you can always private message us. Tune into the show. Next time we have a live workshop or we have something going on, we're going to try to get going here, because he does have his shoulder issue, but we're going to overcome that. We just don't ever quit. And you just don't ever give up, do you?
Well, quitters never win. Quitters never win. Winners never quit.
Very good. And in that, we have just less than 1 minute remaining. So hopefully we've left you with some philosophical phrases. Oh, look it! 200th. I love it. Thank you, guys. And this was our happy 200th episode. And if you think you've enjoyed what you've seen so far, wait, we are just getting started. I want to thank all of you for joining us. Thank my husband. Thanks to the crew here. Couldn't do it without this crew. I can go on and do my little selfie videos and that, but it's nothing like being here in a wonderful environment with the energy that comes from the studio. Great lights, camera, action, and behind me, what is our superpower? LOVE. Take that, run with it. You can make a difference in the world, one heart at a time. God bless. We'll see you next week. Women Unscripted. Be there.